Are you young, scrappy, and hungry? Are you ready to change the world? Well, we've got somebody, so you guys are now officially fierce advocates for justice. But we've got a graduate here who's going to be our real speaker today, who knows what it's like to be a fierce advocate for justice and to be scrappy and fight. Where'd she go? There she is. Yeah, there she goes. So our keynote speaker today graduated from John Jay in 2005. And her name is Heather "The Heat" Hardy. She's a professional boxer. Yes, from Brooklyn. And she's been fighting to get women's boxing visible on national TV. And her efforts paid off in 2016 when Premier Boxing Champions and NBC Sports aired her fight. That's right. So Hardy currently holds 2 Division WBC championship belts, a super bantamweight and a featherweight, and she's the first woman to be signed to a long-term promotional contract with DeBella, which is the biggest boxing promoter in New York. And, you know, I don't care what Las Vegas says, New York is the home of boxing. And she trains at the world-famous Gleason's Gym, located in Brooklyn, New York, and it's been home to boxing champions for many, many years. In her spare time, she is a personal boxing trainer, working with celebrities and business professionals. Maybe she'll teach me a little something. But please join me in welcoming a fierce advocate for justice, a John Jay alum, Heather "The Heat" Hardy.
Sorry, I have my speech on my phone and I have to open it. Okay, I got it. All right. Good afternoon. First and foremost, I'd like to thank John Jay for inviting me back today to talk to you all. It's been nearly 20 years since I was sitting where you are, and that nervous, excited feeling I'm sure you all have, it never leaves. I was told that I can come up here and talk to you guys about anything I want. So first I'll say a bit about who I am and where I came from, about my journey through college and where I am in my life today. I'd also like to give you some advice that you can take with you into your next few years. My name is Heather Hardy, and I grew up in a small, lower to working class neighborhood in South Brooklyn. Both my parents worked 2 jobs so that my siblings and I could have a good education. Like most lower class neighborhoods, we didn't have a lot of after-school activities. There were no clubs at school, no programs like arts or music or theater. Like most lower to working class neighborhoods, growth isn't promoted, survival is. I found myself going through the motions, graduating high school, moving on here to John Jay to college. My parents really wanted me to graduate. I would be the first one to do so in my family. So there I was, going through the motions, not knowing what I wanted to be, except for not poor anymore. Not knowing what I wanted to do, except be successful. I worked full-time down the Bowery. I put myself through college, and years 1 through 3 passed before I even knew what my major was going to be. Towards the end of my senior year, I got pregnant, then I got married. I took a semester off, I had my daughter, and then I was determined to go back and walk my walk. I became the first in my family to become a college graduate. I graduated with a BA in forensic psychology. I got divorced, and then I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And if you fast forward to today, I'm not a forensic psychologist at all. I'm not even a psychologist. And you stole part of my speech, but I'll tell you who I am. My name is Heather Hardy, or as they refer to me in my industry, Heather "The Heat" Hardy, the First Lady of Brooklyn Boxing. I'm an undefeated professional boxer with 21 wins and no losses. I'm a 2-time 2 Division WBC boxing champion, and I also hold featherweight titles for the NABF and the UBF. I was the first female signed to a long-term promotional contract with the biggest boxing promoter on the East Coast, and the first female to ever box at the Barclays Center, which is now considered my home. In 2017, I then signed a 3-year deal with Bellator Mixed Martial Arts, becoming the first professional athlete ever, male or female, to be co-promoted in 2 combat sports, boxing and MMA. I currently hold a record of 2-1 and am perhaps the most well-known featherweight on their roster. So I say that to say this: go through the motions. When I first walked into John Jay, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, but I knew that I couldn't do anything without furthering my education first. Everyone sitting here today, you need to accept and digest that. You cannot grow unless your mind grows. For 2 years, I took every math, science, and required literature class I could. I took electives just to try to find something that might interest me. I didn't become such a success in boxing by being athletically gifted. I was 28 years old the first day I ever walked into a boxing gym, and I decided to make a go at it for a career, feeling like it was the first time in my life I was good at something. I might not have been physically better at boxing than most of the other girls who weren't currently as successful as I am today, but I was older, wiser, and educated. I became who I am because of the principles, the values, and the work ethics that I learned here in John Jay. My smarts got me to the top. My intelligence in knowing how to build a brand, work with human relations, and utilizing all the tools that I sharpened here at John Jay College. That's how you become successful. You might spend the next 4 years of not knowing who you are yet, wondering what your place in the world is. But don't worry, don't give up. Just keep going through the motions. While this feels like a monumental step in your lives from adolescence into adulthood, just know that you guys aren't adults yet. Not quite. You have time to decide, time to learn, explore new fields, and allow your mind to grow and expand. My advice to you is this: focus over the next few years learning how to try, how to fail, and then how to forgive yourself. Keep your mind open to things to do that you've never done, and put yourself in places you thought you could never go. This is your life. Start living.